Just do this over again. All right. We are recording here at Charlie's Tavern in the heart of the beautiful downtown Grace Lake, Illinois. My name is Evan Rafferty. Sitting here with me is Jay Clancy and Dr. Green Thumb himself, Patrick Whistler. Today we have a very special guest, Scott Armstrong, a guy that I have worked with before, and I have the pleasure of seeing all the time at work when he comes to visit me or I go to visit him. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the 1,
2, 3, 4 Shots Podcast.
Woo. All right, and today we are drinking Tullamore Dew, a nice Irish whiskey, because like I said before with Jameson, that's what bartenders like to drink. With us today is Scott Armstrong, probably one of the best bartenders I've known. I've learned a ton of shit from this guy over the past couple of years. I definitely enjoy going and seeing him do his thing. So Scott, welcome to the 4 Shots Podcast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
How's everybody's weekend?
Busy.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Long and short, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Long and short. How's everybody feeling today?
Short.
I'm a 6.
6, solid 6.
Yeah.
Maybe about the same.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. Yeah.
Scott?
I went really hard yesterday, but I drank a lot of water and sobered up before bed. So
That boy took those Tylenol PM gels or whatever.
Oh no. Tylenol and drinking do not mix.
What is it on the Hangover episode? You were saying you were taking something.
Oh, Advil.
Okay, whatever.
If you drink, it's got to be Advil.
Same shit. It's all the same to me. I don't know.
No, Tylenol will fuck your liver if you drink
Yeah.
and take Tylenol.
Yeah.
You should only take Advil if you drink.
Huh.
Aleve
I'll
really
be
bad
damned.
too.
Take note.
Scott, how was your weekend?
My weekend was very busy, but I'm usually off on Sundays, so it's a nice recharge day for me. Okay, yeah. So,
You were off yesterday?
yeah, definitely. Just relaxed with my family.
Nice.
And, then kind of came home, took a nap, and got ready to start it all over again.
Yeah. You worked Friday, Saturday night?
Yeah, definitely did.
Have a busy one?
Certainly. Where I work right now, we have a late night concept, DJ, dance floor, and it can be a lot of fun. It's also a private event space. So we had a full weekend. Definitely very cool.
Cool. Well, let's get right into it, man. Let's tell us a little something about yourself. Let's go through your history of working in the service industry. What was your first job? Where did you start off at?
All right, cool. So I've been involved in the industry since 2005. And one funny thing for me when thinking about the industry is I always think about the first job I didn't get.
The first job you didn't get.
I did not get. And so for me, I thought I had a job in the day, and I was like, man, I'm not making money though, and I have a lifestyle I'm accustomed to. I know what I like, and this is not cutting it. And so a friend suggested, hey, why don't you bartend, or why don't you work in the industry? And I didn't really know much about it as far as on the other side of the bar. I'd visited bars and stuff. So I went to my first interview, and they went in and they were like, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us why you'd like to bartend. And, the short answer is my brilliant thought was, how hard can it be? Is what I said.
Right.
And
I mean, honestly, yeah.
I don't know if that was just the innocence of youth, or
It is one of those things
I
until
don't
you
know what
see
it
it,
was.
you don't really know what it is.
It wasn't until I actually secured a job in the industry, and it was later that I was talking about. I was like, I can't believe they didn't hire me. And I said, how hard can it be? And they're like, well, you're pretty pompous, dude. What are you even thinking, man?
Yeah, somebody's interviewing you that spent years in the industry, and it's like, how hard can it be from some guy who's never done it before?
Right, exactly.
You,
it's like pass on that, And I've since learned.
But you weren't thinking about it at the time, though. It seemed like just I can do this.
And to me, I was being confident in my,
Right.
But that was just raw arrogance, And so it was like, in retrospect, I was like, wow, you really are kind of a jerk.
Well, it's funny because I always tell people, when they start bartending, I'm like, you do have to have this fake confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll always tell people, when in doubt, make it pink. And if someone questions you a second time about it, just be like, well, that's how we make it here.
Right.
You kind of have to fake it if you don't really know. And you got to know there's certain things also where you're just like, hey man, I don't know what you're talking about. When I first worked at a beer bar out in Colorado, we had 74 taps, and I knew about beer, but I didn't know, I wasn't a beer snob or anything like that. I didn't know what some of these guys were talking about. And one of the people who were training me at that bar, they're like, don't bullshit these guys because they'll call you out on it. So like always be like, I don't know, I can get you a taste, something like stuff like that.
Right.
But at the same time, you like if you're in a busy like place like a Friday night, you just gotta fake it. Just be like, oh yeah. that's how it is here,
Right.
But I find it funny that you actually didn't get your first job because like nowadays today, I consider you to be definitely top bartender in Lake County. Like, your ability to, I've seen you do late nights where it's just pump and dump, flying around, making drinks and pouring shots and taking money. I told you guys we had to record earlier on a Monday because I was going to a one-on-one session that this guy throws on over at his current employer. Do you mind if I mention where it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So over at O'Toole's in Libertyville, he does like a one-on-one session, and it was basically like 4 cocktails, 4 small bites, little tapas like plates.
Like a pairing, tasting.
Yeah. And not only, does he like do the pairing, but he's like showing you basically how to make these at your house. Like if you were going to have like a dinner party or something like that, like how to make these incredible drinks at home and like share them with your friends or your family or whatever like that.
And that's cool for both somebody who's in the industry and somebody who's just a cocktail enthusiast at home. And that's just such a broad way to get people into, that are all in the same, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Everybody, they all have the same interest, whether or not they have service experience or not, that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys do those often?
We do them once a month.
Oh, cool. Cool.
And so like to kind of touch on what you were saying, one thing that's funny as far as how that launched where I am now is that in reflection, I was like, if someone tells you can't do something, then all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, that's what I want to do. And that's actually what resonated.
Did that little like it fueled the fire for you?
In a ways, yeah, because it's like I never really thought about it until they were like, well, no, you can't do that. And then I was and then I was like, well, wait a minute. So then since
gives you the motivation to be like, oh no, I can do this.
Yeah, and I've bartended in corporate settings, I've bartended in private settings, I've bartended high volume, I've gone to New Orleans, and so I actually did competitive bartending for a while where.
Yeah, I want to get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on to your hat because that's coming. But, part of the reason why I dove as deep as I did into the industry was almost with that initial foundation of like someone being like, "Wow, you really were stupid there, huh?" And I was like, "Well, I don't do anything wrong."
Right?
No, but I mean, again, innocence of youth, that thought at the time where I was like, "Wait, what do you mean that wasn't the right answer?" And then but then
and then you're like, it was the right answer. They're just wrong about it not being the right answer.
Yes, exactly. But then really digging deep, looking not only at myself but at the industry in particular, it's like as you learn those nuances and you learn the expectations of, not just what you're supposed to do, but how you do it and how you do it well. I just kind of fell in love with it right away, and then I was like, yeah, let's do this and make sure we're doing it right.
Nice. So okay, so you didn't get the first job you interviewed for. So what ended up being the first one?
It was in a corporate setting. TGI Fridays was the first place that hired me. And again, it was a situation where they're like, well, we don't really hire direct into the bar, but we can have you on as a server and see how you do. And it was a situation that I would say that in 2 to 3 weeks, they were like, if you're interested in the bar, there's probably room for you,
Oh, nice. Nice, yeah.
So that part was great, but
it is very rare that you just get hired into bartending. Normally you're either going to start as a bar back, a server or something, just so they can judge and see your base knowledge of drinks and liquors and stuff like that. You can't be a bartender and someone's like, hey, can I get Hendrix? And you're like, what is Hendrix?
What is that? No, that makes perfect
or what is gin? Some just random stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing too because you also can't just go to bartending school and then call it a day and be like, oh, that's great, because I think everyone here is going to be like, bartending school. Okay.
It's okay. It's that. All right, let's actually go into that a little bit. I mean,
sure.
Because I've had people they're like, I went to bartending school, I'm trying to get into this business, and I'm like, well, you wasted your $1,000 or whatever it is, but
right.
Honestly, if you're trying to break into this industry, my advice is always, like you said, start as for me, bar backing. I usually won't hire bartenders unless you have bar backed at our place. Just one, now you know where all the booze is at. 2, you know what all the booze is. You know all the names. You're registering them in. And then on those slow days, I can show you, hey, this is how we make this drink. This is how these shots are made. Show you how to pour. Show you how to count. Stuff like that. I mean, just going to a school where they're telling you that an ounce is a 4 count or something like that. It doesn't really help you out too much.
Or they also imply that this is the standard across every single place that you're ever going to work all your life.
Oh,
yeah. And there is no master recipe book.
There's not.
I'd love for there to be one, but there's not.
Yeah.
There's subtle nuance at every place you work, and there's so much more that goes on behind the bar than what they tell you.
Cool. So all right, you end up at the corporate place at like a Fridays. How long did you end up working there for?
It was over a decade. So
at the same location too, or
well, I kind of rose up a little bit and went into the corporate training side of things.
Yeah.
Helped open stores. So I was involved as a head trainer and in the World Bartending Competition as well. So that is a company-wide program that looks at kind of creating the best bartender for the brand.
Right.
And so
Cool.
involved with that, I did compete at the national level, which was a really fascinating experience.
Yeah, I remember hearing stories about that. Because everyone would show up with these shirts with your face on them and everything like that. You're like, where'd you get that shirt from? They're like, oh, well, he was handing them out for his competitions and stuff like that. So that was very cool. How did you enjoy doing that, going through those competitions? Because it's like you're doing cocktail pours, times, and flair as well, right?
Yeah. So, like I said, the idea behind it is to create the best bartender for the brand. And then there's a lot of technical bartending skills that are incorporated in that, but also a lot of showmanship and a lot of interacting with people. And so there really is a balance between corporate bar and what a bar should be, but one of the coolest things is that you do generate kind of a fan base, and those are regulars that are coming in that are supporting not just the bar itself, but also you as a person, and you in the field.
Which, I mean, you definitely have mastered that, because when I used to work with you, I mean, people would come in and everybody knew you. I mean, to this day, last week I was just talking to people. I'm like, oh, I got Scotty from O'Toole's coming on. They're like, oh man, I remember him from 12 years ago. DJ Mike, who helps us out every now and again. He was even talking about one of his birthdays from years ago. He's like, you got to ask him about this.
Slap your mama.
Yeah, something like that. That's exactly what is slap your mama.
Well, for me, one of the coolest things, and I kind of joined at the golden age of the corporate bartending for TGI Fridays, when they really were bar focused, and they really they just really created great regulars and huge experiences.
Yeah.
But they gave us a lot of freedoms for corporate, where we could really decide what we wanted to do and kind of make the bar a corner bar. So the bartending staff that I was working with at the time was exceptional. So we created a shot. And it was a pretty epic shot. I mean, it's called a Slap Your Mama, and it's basically a Long Island build with blue curacao. But you take a pint glass, put a shot glass in it, put Chambord in the bottom, along the side of the shot glass, so that it's the first layer and it's purple.
Yeah.
You do that Long Island build in the middle with blue curacao instead of triple sec. So then you get a purple and blue layer. You add Sprite to help with the layering process, and then you fill with Guinness.
Oh, shit.
So it is a pint glass shot. Wow. It is a tall order. We do
you fill the entire pint on the top.
Entire pint on the top. Yeah.
So you're chugging a Guinness with all that shit in it.
Yeah.
That's called chugging a cocktail.
Yeah. So we always had a limit. We always had a limit 2 on that. Limit 2 on that.
Sure.
And
that's just for self-preservation. You imagine you do 10 of those and you just let that up at the bar.
Then you end up throwing one in the middle of the bar.
Oh my goodness.
But it's definitely a memorable shot. It's visually stunning.
We should have done those tonight. We'll do one. We'll do one.
We're not doing 4 of those.
No, we'll do one. We'll do one at the end.
Don't have blue curacao here.
Limit 2.
I'll run across the street and get a couple shots.
There you
go. that can be the dessert to our main course here.
Yeah. But all right, so cool. You were doing the corporate stuff with the Fridays and everything like that. Did you enjoy your time with them?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah?
I absolutely loved it. Yeah, they're I wouldn't take anything away from the corporate training. The best part about the World Bartending is that not only did you get to meet people that were passionate about the craft, the company paid for you to go around and do this. And even though, like, so say I was like third best in the Midwest, you're still representing the brand. I mean, you're not the best bartender in the, in the company. So you're not getting like they had a $10,000 prize at the time, and you get, they viewed the bar as driving the sales of a business. So a propeller was their, the logo that they used to represent that. So you'd actually get a very large propeller with your name on it if you did win.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Nice.
It's kind of, I mean, it's definitely like it would be perfect in a home bar, like it's one of those things.
Put it up, on the wall behind the bar.
For sure. And so it's like I never got to that level, but I always wanted to, and then that kept me going, and then along the way though, it's like you get a series of many, not only kind of training opportunities, if you will, from a corporate standpoint, but you get a series of mini vacations where you get to interact with people that are passionate about the industry. You're in a different area, whether it's Milwaukee, whether it's Orlando, whether, and so you get to travel the world, and it's all part of your development. And so like, I thought it was huge and it was awesome. And I definitely did it for many years and loved every part of it.
Very interesting. Cause I know like, I know a lot of bartenders, myself included, I'm guilty of this. Like I will shit on the corporate like side of it every now and again, like.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare actually to hear someone say they loved working at a corporate chain.
Exactly, right? But you are kind of highlighting like the bonus side of what you can get if you take it serious enough and everything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that's all incentive driven. From another standpoint, there's certainly many dark sides of corporate, like where they do try to operate some parts out of a bubble. There was a time that, they told me that I couldn't have my third piercing in my ear, for example. And I was like, so you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Are you asking me to walk right now? Or are you asking me to take out my piercing right now? Or what exactly are you asking me when you say I can't have that?
Right.
Because
you had too many.
You had
too many pieces of flair.
Right. Well, and I was employed by you for the last 5.5 years with these piercings, and now you're saying I can't.
So that wasn't like a...
No, that was
they just came in.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's the darker side of the corporate is that it depends on who's kind of, pulling the strings at that particular time. There were times that, I mean, I'm sure that this is the same for every corporate place, but there were times that they were like, oh, you can't have unnatural hair color. And then, like you're like, well, what do you mean? How do you define that? Oh, for sure.
Like, so if you're like an old guy that's dyeing their hair black, like,
no, it's like pink.
No blue.
They mean no blue.
Okay.
So like black hair is considered natural.
That's like some girl's whole personality.
But I know exactly. That might be their thing.
Well, and it's just like especially. True. I mean, definitely nowadays, but even over the last 10, 15, 20 years, like you couldn't really like. Culture has changed so much where like, tattoos, piercings, colored hair, any hairstyle, like, these kids are rocking mullets again, like any hairstyle, like whether it's a mullet, a mohawk or whatever it is, you kind of have to accept it. Like I thought we were kind of like past that as a society,
Well, again, we're not talking about today. We are talking about like 15 years ago. So that's the other thing.
Well, I mean, even then though,
like, but there was a time.
I felt like piercings were more like accepted than tattoos at one point, but now it's like everyone has tattoos up to their chin and their hand,
right?
Yeah,
and there was a time you could have no visible tattoos either.
Like
just
that's
play on
crazy.
You would have to wear like long sleeves.
And then you'd
Post Malone never worked at Fridays,
right? Exactly. Post Malone would not make
front
the
of
cut. Exactly right. And so there's definitely parts I didn't like about it. I just tried to forget about those. And ultimately that is why I ended up leaving corporate, when it was all said and done, because some of those things were getting so stringent and so strict where it was like, I mean, there's no such, you can't have that same balance of cookie cutter service and people expressing themselves. Yet, why are these mandates? Like you must do it this way, but you also have to show who and what you are. Like
be an individual, but also like everybody else,
but in this exact same lemming way. So definitely there
like
are reasons.
Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke when he's like, we want something different but similar at the same time.
Yeah. The other thing too, when I got into the more private side of things, the idea of having your opinion not only like heard but valued and respected was huge, because it used to be, we will only do it this way. This is how it's done. You will take this, you will whip it with a wire whisk for 60 seconds. You will stop. Whereas, to be able to say, hey, look, maybe we could try this liquor or do something different. Maybe, is there a reason that we're using this juice or this sour? Like, can we change the flavor profile?
Yeah.
That whole concept.
And that's kind of, I think, been always my thing, like the uniformity of like a corporate place. Like I do, like I'll go to corporate bars and stuff like that, but it's usually not the same concept. You know, like it's a corporation that owns a bunch of different bars, and this one's like this, and this, you know, this one's bourbon and pork. This one is tequila taco. You know, like, you know, but
more like a restaurant group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than necessarily like a corporate chain.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's that uniformity just kind of like it to me, like almost feels like fake, you know?
Oh,
it's
it absolutely is.
I mean, inauthentic, right?
It's
like the same cheesy neon sign at every single one, all like hundreds across the country. It's just like, you know, the McDonald's of a bar, it seems like.
Pretty much.
Way, you know?
Yeah. But, all right, so very cool. And then you end up leaving there.
Yeah.
Or did you go right to your current spot now then?
So
you feel free to plug that, you know?
Yeah, I definitely, I bounced around a couple of different, like private bartending opportunities. I helped bartend over at the Fog Cutter. I helped bartend over.
Fog Cutter's pretty awesome. I love that place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great spot. Great food.
They also owned Grass Lake Landing in Antioch for a little bit, which was a spot on the chain of lakes. Definitely summer focused, but I was moonlighting between the two of those for a while.
Yeah. Were you like just picking up shifts, or were you actually like scheduled like 1 or 2 days, or?
I was scheduled at Grass Lake Landing for probably 2 summers.
Yeah,
would be in you know.
Was that only open like because it was on the chain? Was it only open in the summer, or like?
They were primarily like that was their largest business volume. They were open year round. Because they had a campsite that was like directly next to them. Cool. So there, but I mean, the vast majority of business was in the summer.
Let's talk about this real quick. Yeah, a campsite next to the bar.
Oh, for sure. So like people would spend the summer there. You know, I mean, like I said, it's on the Channel Lakes.
With like RVs, campers, trailers, like stuff like that.
Yeah, trailers. I mean, it's long term. Like people would spend the summer there.
Oh,
like you would ride your golf cart over, come out for breakfast.
Oh, that sounds fucking awesome.
You might buy a 6-pack to go, and then go back to your RV and then say, hey guys, you know, we're gonna have a campfire later. When you guys close up, come on over to the campfire. Like that kind of a thing.
Oh my god, that's like life goals right there.
Yeah.
Dude, they have some cool RV parks in Door County.
Yeah,
and people pull up in there and they're there for 2 months.
Yeah, I very much
sick.
more mean RV park than camper. I like haven't lived that life. I've just kind of received the benefits of
that.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool experience because I mean, you learn about these people's lives for the entire summer then, you know, and you're involved with it. Like that's you're their primary bar for that entire time, and so it's kind of cool to, you know, see how their summer goes.
And like, were these people just like, you know, like working families that would take like, you know, the summer off and go over there and live there, or was it more like retiree, like, you know, like older people that were just kind of like, yeah, you know, I sold everything and bought the RV and now we just drive around and hang out?
Well, I would just say that this is before the age of people comfortably working remotely.
Yeah.
So these are people in jobs that are also comfortable taking the summer off. You know, like it's not like I'm not going to say that it's like, oh wow, you know, it's like me and the wife and the kids are going to go and like I don't know. I mean, it tended to be a little
higher end.
Well, but I mean.
Or retired.
They still are in an RV.
A lot of, right? I know. No. I know. But like, yeah, and maybe more retired too, and it's a balance. But like, there were plenty of like kids there that were hanging out and having a good time too. But it's definitely people that wanted a little more of a sense of adventure for their summer, like hanging out and doing things.
Nice. All right. So then, after you know moonlighting at those places, you end up where you're at now.
Yeah. So. At O'Toole's of Libertyville, was a concept that was opening up, and basically it was Timothy O'Toole's Sports Bar and Grill, but with a craft cocktail and higher end focus.
Right.
And so
I was actually, I don't know if you guys know this, I was there when that opened up. Me and Scotty went through that process together.
Yes, we did. We did open that place together. Yeah. And so
with about 40 other bartenders, and after about a week, it was
narrowed down quite a bit. But when there are currently 4 locations for the O'Toole's Pub Group, and the three of them are sports bar and grills. And so when they were opening the Gurnee location, I was still very deeply involved at TGI Fridays in Gurnee. And multiple people came up to me and said, "Hey, I really think you would love this. I really think this would be a great opportunity for you."
No worries. You're good. Yeah, just keep going, man.
They said, "I think this would be a great opportunity for you." And I was like, well, I don't actually like organized sports. Like, I hate sports. So the idea of a sports bar and working at a sports bar is terrible.
They wanted you to go over to the Gurney.
To the Gurney. Well,
okay.
So like I said, like at the point that the Gurney location was opening, I was up and coming as a bartender. And they were like, no, you would love this place. It's a new concept. You're going to love it. The Monkey Dish just closed. Like, please, like you can help open this place. And I was like, yeah, it's a sports bar and grill. I'm going to pass.
The Monkey Dish. What a great name.
Right? Monkey Dish was actually awesome.
I was going to say,
look it up.
And
I mean, it was one of the first places that like I said, I was still new to the industry at the time, but they had a kitchen behind their, a small, they had a flat top behind their bar. Okay, so you could watch them make you sliders.
Like literally,
yeah. Correct.
That's very old school.
which is really cool. Yeah, it was a great concept. But anyway, that's exactly the same spot where the O'Toole's in Gurney is. But they asked me to help them there, and I was like, nah, it's not my thing. Like, sports, I hate. I'm good there. but fast forward. When O'Toole's of Libertyville was still in its conceptual phase, they were like, this is going to be craft cocktail focused. Like, it is a sports bar, but it's higher end casual dining.
Yeah.
Like this is made for you. And I was like, all right, well, I will talk. I will see, and it turned out it was a great fit. And so that was why I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's move on. Let's truly jump ship and go into the private side of things.
Yeah. And that's very cool. Like, you ended up leaving that corporate into like a family owned place. I love O'Toole's. Food's great, drinks are great, atmosphere is good.
It's an awesome spot.
Yeah.
The Libertyville one's great. I've never been to the original one's in the city, correct?
Correct.
I've never been to that one, but I've been to the other three.
That's actually the only one I haven't been to either. I haven't been to that one.
You absolutely have to experience it. It's like old school Chicago bar style.
Yeah.
Like where you go downstairs to get there. They've got darts, they've got pool. Like,
love a good basement bar.
So I've been to Gurney and Libertyville, and then there's Chicago. Is there another one?
Lake Villa. Where Blackthorn
Grill.
Yeah, Blackthorn is.
A bunch of different. It was
prime
time back in the day.
Yeah, it's reputed to be a cursed location. However, the city is doing their absolute best to make sure that it will thrive. So that part's great. Right. And I mean, Lake so Villa. Far, Lake Villa, the Lake Villa O'Toole's has been doing.
Said that kind of judgy about Lake Villa.
I'm just thinking where Lake Villa is. It's west of Gurney, right?
It's that way.
It's like if you drive past the Cutter West.
Yeah.
That's Lake Villa.
Yeah.
That's where Wolf's Tavern is.
Yes.
Yeah, the Wolf.
The prestigious Wolf's
Tavern.
That place
is awesome. I think we've talked about
Wolf's
that
four or five times.
Yeah.
That place has a floor even more tilted than this floor.
I think that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Well, and then you order a beer and it's in a cooler.
That's awesome.
Like literally a plastic.
Like not even an igloo cooler. Like we're talking like the styrofoam cooler.
No, like an igloo, like a.
Okay.
Go into a tailgate cooler.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't have like a fridge. It's just like
no.
Not when I was there, or maybe it was busted.
There's just a girl sitting in a chair, and she just
she's just in like a lawn chair.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
You know what?
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Cash is it cash
guy
only?
With an old dog. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
They don't have a computer there.
Those are my favorite spots. Yeah, they hand you the guest check. They're like, yeah, that's.
They have a phone.
There's no service. There's a phone.
Right.
It's like on someone's property. It's like a house with a barn.
Right next to the dog park.
That's hilarious.
It's great.
I would love
We should check it out sometime.
A bar next to a dog park. That's great.
It's great.
Just
Wolf Den Brewing on the south side.
Never heard of it.
They've got like their own dog park behind the brewery, and they'll just like bring you out beers while your dog just runs around all day. Amazing.
Well, that sounds
free
epic.
plug for them, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great.
Like, is this heaven? Yeah. No, this is Wolf Den's Brewing.
Yeah.
A close second.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where you're at right now, right? You're still over at the O'Toole's in Libertyville.
Yeah.
And real quick, let's just before this segment ends, let's get back to those 101s. I had a blast. My girl had a blast. I highly suggest if you are looking for a date night, you look these 101 sessions up that you do it once a month, right?
Yeah.
I know they're selling out fast because when we were at the February one, the March one was already sold out.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're definitely being successful and everything. The pricing on it was fucking fantastic. Like I told you, actually, you should be charging more money for it. But like, if you're looking for a date night, highly suggest it. You guys do it in the upstairs bar up there.
Yeah.
We kind of
always on a Monday.
No, it's actually.
I was just gonna ask.
It's normally the third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
We changed the day that we did it for the theme of the February one. So the February
right,
theme
yes, it was the day
love
before,
potions, and it was the day before Valentine's. Yeah. So normally it's on a Wednesday. I think they're a fantastic experience. We just pick a different theme for each month. Spring break cocktails is the next one, and so you run through 4 different examples of the theme, 4 food pairings. It's kind of like a glorified cooking show. I have a head mic.
You did a really good job too, by the way, of like being that MC. Like you went through, you explained how to make the cocktail. Random people were yelling questions out. You took your time to individually answer those questions, but then to also like make sure you were talking to the general population about everything too. Let's see if these guys know about it. What's the difference between ginger ale and ginger beer?
Dun, dun, dun.
I think ginger beer.
I could taste the difference, but I don't know what the actual difference is.
Not all the time.
Those are good questions or good answers.
Ginger ale tastes like Sprite. Close more, right? Ginger beer tastes like I don't know, fucking ginger beer.
So
I don't know.
also,
Tell me.
Also, if you're listening, go ahead and think about that for a moment.
I actually forgot the answer to
He
it.
doesn't even know the
You're the one that fucking asked it.
But I didn't
Yeah, I
know
know.
because
No,
he went over it during the session I was at, and I was
right.
like, holy shit! Like I actually always wondered that, and
Yeah.
I never bothered to Google
Ginger
it.
ale is just like soda. I think ginger beer has like alcohol at least. Some
You
of
are
the time.
so dangerously close to right.
Yeah.
That is right. It is not exactly right, but it's very, very close.
Yeah.
So
Because I think there's non-alcoholic ginger beer too.
Yes, and that's the thing. So
Almost all of it is non-alcoholic.
correct.
Yeah.
So ginger ale is essentially flavored soda water.
Yeah.
They've added ginger flavoring to it. Ginger beer is brewed like root beer would be.
Yeah.
And so then you can decide whether you want alcohol in it or not, but there's a much higher predominance of ginger flavor in ginger beer as a result of that.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
Learn something new every day.
Every day.
We should make some.
So I don't think we're going to ruin anything because I don't know if this is going to come up by the March one. But what do you got planned for that? What are your spring break drinks?
Well, my favorite one is we're going to be making a kind of a backyard version of a frozen margarita. So basically, we're going to take a simple syrup, lime juice, lime zest, and then we're going to freeze it, and then you're going to pour Corona over it.
Ooh.
So
Very cool.
So what's absolutely fascinating is that when you muddle that, so we'll.
Are you
have a
throwing
glass-
tequila in this at all?
Oh
or-
yeah. There'll be tequila involved. I'm just not letting you know whether it's in there or whether it's
I got you.
added after. Got to keep some things close to the chest.
Secrets.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
if
That's
you'd
fair.
like, you can click to see more. / you can also just join in.
Right.
But so then when you muddle that, it becomes an unbelievable like margarita slush.
Like a slight.
Very very easily because it's it doesn't just break up. It really just becomes a nice slush, and then you can sip on that,
And then
it's
add
100%
everything
like
to
a
it?
frozen margarita, and it's pretty fantastic. So it's a Corona-rita, but
Nice.
I mean.
It's really cool. I honestly, like, if you guys haven't done it, go check it out. I mean, maybe we should do it as a group. Go on up for one.
That'd be fun.
Boys' night.
Boys'
There you
night.
go, right? We have plenty of ladies' nights.
I was
There's no
gonna
reason we
say.
can't
I was maybe one of 3 guys in that whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, so
But-
if you are a single guy, check that
Yeah.
out.
And well, do the classic versus contemporary cocktails. That one's going to be much more whiskey focused.
Yeah.
It's going to be much more looking at some of those harder hitters as far as cocktails are concerned. Your Manhattans, your martinis, and then you have the option of doctoring it up to a contemporary cocktail where you're like, oh look, no, now it's innovative and more sweet. But that should be a really fun one.
Very cool. Yeah, it was a great time. My lady loved it. She was literally, I think we're going to the April one. I'm pretty sure she bought the tickets right
Nice.
then. So definitely check it out if you're looking for a good thing for date night. If you just want to check some stuff out, like he said, for your boys' night for the cocktails, contemporary versus, what is it? Contemporary versus classical.
Classic.
There you
Yeah.
go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of segment 1 and time for shot number 2-ish.
2, yeah.
2.
Cheers.
Cheers.
There's the shots we take, and there's the shots that we count. And sometimes they're the same.
What was it? Like, yeah, this is 2.5.
Yeah, right. We're at like
Is that the
4.5.
Dustin episode? Very good. Very cool.
And then she was like, "Oh, I'm going to get a facial." I'm just like, they need to rename that shit.
And you lost Evan.
You just can't. You can't just be like, "I'm getting a facial." Like you just can't say it anymore. Even like, I feel like even old people know what that means now.
I mean, I'd
you know
like
what
to,
I'm saying?
I mean, I would hope that a mother would be able to say that, but also at the same time, I understand that you'd be like,
not to her son anymore.
Yeah, no, it needs a new name. It's just one of those things.
Like
microdermabrasion.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point, you just got to move on and pick a new name.
At that point, they've lost.
And that is where we're going to start the second part. Oh, fuck. All right, let's get to it. You gonna go first? We'll go with you first.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for segment 2 of the 4 Shots podcast. We are here with Scott Armstrong from O'Toole's of Libertyville. Thank you again for being here with us today, buddy.
My pleasure.
Jay, you were just telling us a little story. We kind of cut you off.
It's such a small story, but I was new to the service industry. I was with a friend at O'Toole's. You were bartending, and we're doing.
Were you guys at the upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs bar. Would have been a Saturday night. And it would have been when I worked at the steakhouse I used to work at. I got off early, whatever. We're out for drinks. And, you know, that awkward dance of like, oh, no, let me buy, you know. And, like, you know, me trying to be the idiot chauvinist that I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy that.
Trying to throw that big dick energy around.
Said, sure. Who paid for the last round? And she pointed at me. And so you took her card. And that was just like, I was like, that's the quickest and fastest and most efficient way to handle that. And I've had trouble with that bartending and serving too, when it's like 4 people pull out their card. No, his money's no good here. And it's like, guys, sort this out amongst yourselves before you make it my problem. I'm fucking busy, you know?
100%.
Yeah. And you handled that just in like 2 seconds. Just like, and I was like, how did I never fucking think of that? Yeah. It's such a small, dumb thing, but it's so much more efficient than letting you sitting there and watching us bicker. You know? Which is what would have happened because both of our cards are out, but we're not giving you either of them because we're it's. Yeah.
And in his mind, he's probably like, I got 5 other people that want something right now.
It's time to land the plane. So just give it to me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Venmo, guys.
Got it. Yeah, it exists.
Right.
I actually do enjoy when you get like a group of guys or whatever, and they'll do the card roulette. Where they just throw them all. Where they just throw them all down there, and they're like, pick one, you know, and just they're like, all right, I'm gonna ruin someone's night real quick.
No, I've actually had it happen where the same group came out again, and then it was just dumb luck, and I shouldn't have said what I said, but I did, and I was like, wow, this card feels the same, and I whipped it around, and it was the exact same card from last week, and I was like, oh, it actually does feel the same. Like now I feel like a jerk because you paid 2 weeks in a row.
And for those of you who don't know what card roulette is, it's when you're ordering 10 shots or 10 drinks or whatever, and everyone just throws their credit card down, and it's up to the bartender. Hey, just like reach in and pull one out, and that person gets stuck behind the round. So much easier than being like
splitting it 8 ways.
Split this 10 ways. Yeah, like fuck, I hate that. Yeah.
No, it's an amazing way of taking care of it because you can all figure it out through like there's all kinds of way to pay each other back. You know, like you can get the next round, you can do whatever.
Yeah, but there's no excuse for ridiculous bill splitting anymore.
Correct.
Like just Venmo each other, guys. We got shit to do.
I had a Black Wednesday one time, and I give this kid credit to this day for learning on the fly. Like he came up, before we got to capacity, and he's like, 6 Rebel vodkas, here's 6 credit cards. And I just looked at him, I'm like, hey man, like this isn't gonna fly in about 20 minutes, just so you know.
Yeah.
So then he comes up and he's like, 6 Rebel vodkas, 1 credit card. I'm like, all right, cool. Next round. Because at this point he's probably waiting a half hour for a drink. It's Black Wednesday, and he goes, 6 double Rebel vodkas, 1 card.
Yeah.
Then he comes back up to me, 12 double vodka Red Bulls, 1 card. I'm like, see, you're getting it, man.
Yeah.
Like you're learning. I feel like I taught you something.
Like learn right before your eyes. It's like being a parent in a small way. I would imagine you're just watching your bar regulars. Just
well, good on you for saying something too.
Well,
we have
because
control.
a lot of people
Yeah.
just be like, oh, well, I guess I'm ringing up like 6 cards
Well, and there's
all
just
night.
pout about it without
and like Scott,
correcting
you could talk about this like even like there's a difference like between being an asshole, being like, guys, you should do it like this, and educating someone and being like, hey man, like just so you know, like if you want to keep getting like obviously I didn't have to stop here, I did because you were next in line or whatever,
right.
But like if you're gonna be that annoying person, I could literally make the same amount of tips, maybe even more, if I just skip you next time and go to the next guy.
Right. And
like the bars are gonna keep bringing that till because I'm just pouring nonstop.
Exactly.
So either figure this shit out a more like efficient way for me, or you're just gonna be sitting there.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, one of my favorite experiences, if you're doing it right, is the 21st birthday. And I know that can make make people roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, son of a bitch, what's about to happen?" And I look at that as you have an opportunity from an industry side to create your ideal regular, your
customer
ideal
for
person.
life.
Yeah,
Customer
a customer
for
for life. And so one of the first things I do is I say, "Hey, listen, you're gonna hear all kinds of things all your life. What I want from you right now is your name, and I want you to ask my name. Now, I also want you to envision if it's busy, we don't have time to do that, so respect that.
Yeah.
You know, and like we created.
So
from
you're
that-
literally teaching a 21-year-old how to like act at a bar.
And I would suggest that I have had 30 people since be like, "Oh my God, you have made my 21st birthday the most amazing thing in my life."
Right.
That's awesome.
And that's just it. And so
You should
it's like
honestly
create
teach a
the world
lesson
you
on that
want.
to bartenders.
21, you're nervous at a bar anyway, right?
As
you
you
kind of
should
do
be.
want
Yes.
somebody to tell you the
Yeah.
right way to do things.
And that's just it.
Because I don't
I
think
don't know, man. If you went to college in certain places, there's like I
Oh,
spent
of course,
spent
there's
hundreds of hours in a bar
I
in
agree.
Champaign and Urbana before I turned 21. Like this is how this works here. Not to reveal too much, but like your fraternity always had like older guys that usually lived in a senior house or something.
Sure.
They all worked at some bar somewhere. Our bar was Cam's, which was like the
I
main
love
old
Cam's.
school bar.
Yes, you can piss on the
So,
floor there. No, it's like it smells like a urinal puck. The whole
You
thing.
know,
yeah.
like your fraternity would all walk together, including pledges who are like 18, 19, walk together to the bar, and they'd have like 10 IDs, and you'd hand them
Yeah.
out to the 10 guys, and you're doing this all in full view of the staff and everything. Everyone walks through, and they do a thing in Champagne where they take a picture of every ID, so the guy holds it up to a little camera,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like one after
Yeah.
They
the
scan
other.
them, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they also have the unique like caveat of being like, well, it's 19 to get into the bars.
Yeah.
It's 21 to drink.
I used to
Where I'm
go,
like, are you fucking
So
kidding?
blatant.
I used to go down there in high
Blatant.
school
Yes.
with like
As
a
well you
19 with a
should.
19-year-old ID.
Yes.
Like,
and there are so like I
I
don't,
don't think it was 19. I think it was 18.
No, it's 19.
Urbana
I
is
believe.
18. Urbana is 18, and Champagne is 19.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it depends on what side of campus.
But
you're
either
on.
way, they're local ordinance violations in the event that you were to be caught with alcohol in arm's reach or some
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I went to U of I as well, and it was awesome. Like, it was an unbelievable experience, and I loved it. But that is something that definitely stood out.
We used to just crouch down in the DJ booth and smoke blunts because everybody's smoking cigarettes in the bar still at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So
yeah.
you can
Well,
just
like
smoke weed and no one knows because
like
there's
it's
like
Joe's?
400 cigarettes.
I
lit
just
at
thought you were
any
just
given
sitting behind
moment.
a DJ booth
Yeah.
with like a
Right.
smokestack
You never
coming
know.
out, and everyone's
Yeah,
like,
it's just-
"The fuck's this guy doing?"
Is,
Just
Jo-
have cigarettes
is Joe's,
smooth.
is Joe's still a place? Is Joe's still a thing?
It was
don't
when
even
I
know.
was there.
It was when I was there as
didn't-
well. And we
did-
had a woman, or a girl, I should say, not a woman, because I think that a woman would not have done this, but a girl did. She
yeah.
it was like
Let's
last.
just explain
yeah,
that real
yeah,
quick.
no, I did want to differentiate because like lights on, end of the night at Joe's, which is like a dance bar, and like I mean, there's multiple areas, but it's all very cheap drinks and a lot going on, and full lights go on because everyone's getting out, and this girl was like, I lost my contact, and I cannot lie to you. Fans out, people are looking around. This was before cell phones had flashlights on them, but they're looking. And she's like, I found it. Puts it right in her eye. In the
Like
middle,
off the floor?
Off the floor, man.
Ugh.
Yeah. She
No saline,
she
no
then,
water,
No, she
no-
then, there was a lot of
no.
pain afterwards.
Dude,
A lot
fuck
of
it.
pain.
I'd throw it out and walk home with one eye.
I mean, you can right. You can wear an eye
probably
patch.
doing that anyway.
You're-
You know?
So you get HIV.
Put your hand over your eye. You're fine. You're fine. You're not gonna get a headache, girl. You're good.
Shit! I think the first place I've ever been kicked out of was actually the Tropicana or something like that. Cabana Club or something like that.
That's on the Urbana side, so that's an 18 bar, but they have like a 800 person venue there.
Yeah, so I was like 17 or something. Went down to hang out, and Mike and Joe were playing.
Oh,
there.
Mike and Joe were all the rage.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I remember like these guys that I went to high school with, like they were obviously older than me. You know, I was still in high school; they were now in college. They were, you know, like, come on, we're gonna like crowd surf you or something. And they, as soon as they got me up, like, the security guard came over and grabbed me and were like, "Nope, you gotta go." And they fucking kicked me out. Yeah. But oh shit. I got a crazy story. I totally forgot to say this earlier. From this weekend. Friday night.
Yeah, hit me. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I don't think I told any of you about this yet. Friday night, we were, you know, slaying balls to the wall. We had DJ Silk, my buddy Spencer, playing up there. He brings a huge crowd. He's like a doctor in the Navy, and then he knows a bunch of people like just outside of that. So we were just packed. I actually had to like bartend for about 3 hours, which is always a good time when I get to go back behind the bar. And at the end of the night, I'm counting the money in the office. You know, I'm doing the drawers and everything like that, you know. And the last people, like my last employees are leaving. It's like 2 of my bartenders and my head bouncer. They're walking out like the employee exit, like by the dumpsters, the side door, the alley door. And all of a sudden, all 3 of them start texting me and calling me. And they're like, some guy is trying to come in and look for his credit card. And I'm just like, tell him to come back tomorrow. Like, you know, like, get the fuck out of here. And they're like, no, like he is like forcefully trying to come back in. And this is like, you know, our employee entrance, you know, we leave it open at the end of the night because I got my guys still cleaning down there that are like, you know, they have to go take the garbage out. So that door is open. But it's like, there's a gate, you know, it's on the side. It's not easy to find. Like, he must have heard them leaving or something and like got in there somehow. Like, so he was like trying to come in. They're keeping out the door. So I'm like, I'll be down in 2 seconds. I run down there. This guy like pushes me, tries to come through the door. Like, I grab him and I'm like, listen, man, like, if you lost your credit card, just come back tomorrow, call us tomorrow. We'll see if we have it, something like that. He's like, you know, F you guys, fuck you guys. Like, I got $450,000 on this credit card. All like, and it's just like mumbling, like just spitting random shit at me. I'm like, no, dude, you're not coming inside. Like, come back tomorrow. He tries to walk past me. I just grab him real quick. I'm like, listen, it's gonna end 2 ways here right now. I'm like, 1, you're gonna turn around, go home, get an Uber, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, 2, I'm going to sit here and hold you, and we're going to call the cops because you're trying to break in and you're trespassing. Yeah. He's like, you know, fuck you. He takes off. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's done. You know, employees are like, all right, we're heading out of here. So
but it wasn't done.
Not done yet. So I walk back up to the office. I get back. I literally sit back down in the chair, and then I get a call. And it's all 3 of my employees again calling me. They're like, that guy called the cops on us. I'm just like,
let's see how that pans out, buddy.
I'm just like,
let's see.
Are you fucking serious? And they're
Perfect.
Like, yeah, the cops are pulling in right now. And I'm just like, do I need to come down? They're like, yeah, I think so. Like, fuck. All right. So I go down there, and literally the cop just walks up to me and he's like, this guy trying to like break in? I'm like, he's not trying to break in. I'm like, he came in through our like employee entrance, like as everyone's leaving, talking about his credit card or something. And then finally, like, my bouncer's like, yeah, we had to actually kick that guy out of here like 3 hours ago. Like, he was like too drunk and harassing some girl or something like that. And we tossed him. And he went to some other bar, and I think he ended up getting kicked out of there. And then like he couldn't find his card or something. But like, I'm just standing there. The cop's like, do you want to press charges for like, you know, trespassing? I'm like, no,
I don't want to go to court.
Yeah,
just
I'm like,
out of here.
Just and like the dude is he just partied too hard that night. You know, like it's not like I want him to spend the night in jail either. Right. Like I'm trying to help the guy. Like, hey man, go home. Like, this is how it's gonna either happen. You're either gonna go home or you're gonna get arrested. Like, it's one of those 2 things.
Hearing this story, I kind of want him to spend the night in jail.
I mean, I thought about it. I was like,
there's a bed in there.
Well, it's like the petty side of you as a bartender or whatever. Like, always you're kind of like, fuck this person. But at the same time, this is our job. Like, I want to make sure you get home safe. Like, you know, come have a good time.
Make sure it's good.
Yeah.
That's why we have to take our Bassett and stuff, right? Like, that's why you are responsible for these people at the end of the night. You know?
And so the guy's just like, he's sitting there arguing with the cops for 20 minutes, and I can hear them just being like, call an Uber. Like, we'll call an Uber for you. Like go home.
Or you're getting a public interest.
Yeah. And he's just arguing with them, and then he turns around and fucking like just takes off. And the cop, I'm like, I'm sorry guys. Like, to the cops are like, don't worry about it. And they have to go get him and shit. Fucking craziness though, over a credit card. And he just kept saying something like, it's like, I got $450,000. And I'm just like, Dude, I'm like, we didn't charge you $450,000. Like, I don't know what you're screaming about. Like, what's this 450? Like, I would have loved to, because that meant my staff made 20% of that. You know,
that would have been amazing.
$90,000.
Right. We're in.
Like,
how old was this guy? Can I ask?
He's
ish
in between 40 and 50s.
So,
you know, like
way,
he's older.
way too old
yeah,
to be,
it wasn't a kid doing this.
I mean, he should know that if a business has your credit card, they're not constantly charging it. So if you've got $450,000 on that card,
did you have his card?
No, we don't keep cards there. Like, if you start a tab with us,
that's the best part.
We swipe, authorize, and give it back to you.
Right. It's the best part. So you didn't even have
So
it.
you told him, we checked. It's not there.
Yeah. If I had $1 for every time I had to say, go ahead and check your pockets.
Yeah.
Just to see if it's
not
there.
that pocket. Check your other pocket.
Up here, your shirt pocket, because they just hand it back and they drop it in their shirt pocket all the time.
Yep. And we've had to definitely de-escalate multiple times, being like, because they come up like, you stole my card.
There was one time.
Then call and cancel it.
Yeah.
When I was working with you over there, and a kid started getting like really verbally abusive with the girl bartender, like, this bitch lost my fucking credit card, and I was just like, motherfucker, I'm like, you say that word one more time, like like they had to come and grab me real quick because I was about to lose my shit.
Yeah.
And guess what? The kid fucking had his card
in his pocket.
Every fucking
not every, but I would say 98 out of 100 times.
You know what's hilarious is people leave their credit cards here. It's a cash bar. Charlie's is a cash bar.
Yeah, how are you leaving a credit card here?
People have called and asked if they left their credit card
can't.
here. Yeah, no, it has happened though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if usually it's like a debit card that they
ATM or something.
And then they took it out and they left it on the bar because they just got cash, whatever. But it's like, can I come in and look for it? And I'm like, yeah, when we're open. But now I'm closed.
But not right now.
It's 2:05. I can't have you in here.
It's a balance.
It
is always a balance for sure.
Hey, I wanted to ask a relevant question. Where did you spend your 21st birthday? At U of I?
Yeah, no, for sure. There are so many bars. We were in the Urbana side of things, because Champaign is a little more,
Champaign is more
as we were growing,
a fratty and like commercial bar.
Yeah.
And like Urbana. When I lived in Urbana, there was actually a couple like Firkin type like gastro pub places in downtown Urbana that were pretty cool, but most of Urbana was like serious dive bar territory.
Yeah. So I mean, it was definitely a balance. So Champaign was where you were going to light it up, and Urbana was where you're like just kind of more hanging out. So we were off site, like we were off of the main strip. And I actually don't remember the name of it, so that's why I'm trying to think right now.
Sounds like you had a good night.
Well, it's actually awesome because like my thing that's funny is like my parents paid for around there, so I just got to figure it out. Oh, okay. I just have to figure out the name of the place.
Anyways, what kind of place was it?
I mean, it was a mellow.
Was it the little tiny mug club place, the Illini Inn in
no,
Champaign?
No. So I've definitely done the Illini Inn, and I'm still part of the mug club. But that again is more that's the Champagne side of things. So like I said, this is more like the library. Like this is more like relaxed. So I'm trying to think.
Was it like towny bar?
Yeah, it was a towny bar. And
was it by the place by the courthouse that has live music, and it's like in a parking lot almost?
So it's...
I forget what that place is called.
That is quite the description.
This is the most Midwestern conversation. Right? If you go past that big rock and there's that tree that used to be there, but it's not anymore, and then you take a left, but you don't go too far.
Yeah. There's like the strip mall, and then it's behind the strip mall, and it's like its own building, but it looks kind of like a hut sitting in the parking lot.
That's just a great way for like Google to describe it. Like, we're the place by the courthouse and the parking lot, but it's not a parking lot.
There should be an option. When you get directions on your phone, there should be an option for just like a gas station attendant from the 80s. Just like, you're going to go over that way, and then you're going to...
So I definitely did the mug club, and there was a logo mug night at Murphy's, and I did
Murphy's
that on
was a
Wednesdays,
great place,
and then free fries on Sunday was awesome as well. But I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
what the name of
I
it
don't.
was.
There was only a few places I went in Urbana, so you know. Crane Alley, was that there when you were there?
Does Crane Alley have the red velvet like chairs?
They had like really fancy interior design, and they served like Orval in the correct glass and like that kind of stuff. It was like very high end for a college town, at least.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's definitely a balance because, like, at the same time, what I was drinking in that time period was a cranberry vanilla vodka because I thought it was awesome. And I mean, just to put that in perspective,
Vanilla cranberry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all right, but it tastes kind of weird when you drink it now. I mean, like it's all right, right? It's all right as a shot, but like definitely like raspberry, very, very, very sweet. Like it's got a lot going on, and so I think I was more focused on the people and not the place.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's awesome though. On your 21st, I mean,
I do remember that my parents, who are not big drinkers, they called the bar ahead of time and said, "I want to buy a pitcher / a round or whatever for anyone that he's with." And I always thought that was an amazing gift for a parent to give a child at their 21st birthday.
Very cool.
Like that would be my take home from my whole 21st experience, because like I really was blown away because they were like, they're not big on drinking.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's so cool that they like recognized that I was going to do that and enjoy it. And it was a nice gift.
It's not for me, but
yeah, exactly. Well, exactly.
Have at it. Have fun. Enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think my parents told me don't get arrested.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
about it.
That's fair. But it was also cool because like at 21, I don't have disposable income. You know, like I'm not gonna
right.
Like if people aren't buying me something, I'm not necessarily getting it. And so then to find out like, oh hey, your parents went ahead and got you this, like that was really cool.
That is cool.
So again, we're sitting here with Scott Armstrong from O'Toole's in Libertyville. I had talked to you earlier, like if you had any ideas of something you wanted to talk about or whatever, and you kind of like you sent me a bunch of stuff, which we again appreciate. That's always our favorite guest who brings their own stories with us. We don't have to drag them out of you or anything like that. But one thing you wanted to talk about was the bartender ears, and I thought that was great because I'm actually surprised I haven't heard that because I have a funny story about that as well. But like, what's the craziest thing? You want to go first, Jay? What's the craziest thing you heard as a bartender? Like if you're just walking by.
Oh, well, it wasn't crazy, but it was funny because I'm an asshole in this story, but I feel like you guys will have
in this story.
Yeah, well, and in general,
okay,
but especially in this story. So I'm bartending here, Charlie's, and I'm walking by, and this lady is complaining about a certain politician and saying she's just a bartender. What does she know? And she just keeps going on this rant about she's just a bartender, you know, da 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 da. So then this lady's drink is empty.
First of all, as a bartender, I know everything.
Yeah. Right.
Continue.
Right. And so this lady's drink is empty, and I didn't. I walked past her. She tried to flag me down. I walked past her a couple times, and then probably 20 minutes later, she's like, "Can I get another drink?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just a bartender. What do I know? I'm sorry. I'm so dumb. That's why I'm back here. Which it's a dumb, small little, But as far as crazy stories, like the weirdest things I've heard people talk about, I've had tables that were like filling out their divorce paperwork. 3 times.
I've had someone leave those papers.
Yeah.
And that was weird because I was just like, "What is this?" And I had to like look, and I'm like, "Ooh!"
That's a very. I get it. I get doing it at a bar in a public place, whatever. Just to be.
Well, you want to be on neutral terms,
right?
But
sure.
That's such a painfully awkward thing as a service industry.
Yeah.
So you get stabbed.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally not. Yeah. Depends how nasty it is. I've had someone leave their papers to adopt a dog as well, and I'm like, well,
that's
really,
just sad.
Well,
yeah.
at that point,
or maybe you shouldn't have.
Maybe you should rethink that.
You forgot the papers.
Yeah.
Are you gonna forget the fucking dogs?
Right.
Keep track of a manila envelope.
Correct.
Maybe,
I understand.
Maybe a puppy is not for you.
I understand this envelope wasn't at the end of a chain that was connected to your wrist.
Right.
Maybe start with a goldfish.
Yeah.
And work your way up.
You've got to. Everyone starts somewhere, so that's the thing.
We had someone that was thinking about getting a dog, and someone got him one of those. What are those Tamagotchi?
Yeah.
They're like, you got to make this thing live for a month before you get a dog.
Did they do it?
No.
Well.
They went a couple.
Maybe they should do that for everyone.
They went a couple of weeks, and that was about it. And then the thing
I don't
died.
know. Dog can like be alone for a little bit.
It's a fucking Tamagotchi thing. It's a little digital.
They're tough. It's like a game. It's like a video game. It's supposed to be hard.
Remember fucking Furbies?
Trust me, they're not
when
easy.
Furbies would just go off. You guys not remember Furbies?
I didn't know.
I saw a Furby yesterday.
I don't know what it was.
I never had
at
one
Mickey
either.
Finn's.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay.
You saw one yesterday at Mickey Finn's?
I think Allison just pulled one out of her purse.
An actual Furby?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not thinking of the same thing as you.
We're gonna have
guys.
to
It's like
fact check
a little
this.
doll that looks like a gremlin.
It looks like a like a mogwai.
Yeah, makes a face.
Not a gremlin, because a gremlin doesn't have fur.
Oh yeah.
So it's a mogwai.
The good one.
Yeah, the nice one.
The cute one.
Before they become evil.
Yeah,
before they
before you
eat
get
after
'em
midnight.
wet.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get 'em wet.
If they get
Yeah,
wet,
yeah,
they
yeah.
multiply.
Get them wet and
If
they
you
turn
feed
into
them
a
after
monster.
No, you feed them after midnight.
Yeah.
If you feed them after midnight, they turn into a monster.
One of the craziest things I've ever heard, though, I was literally just walking by somebody. It was like these two older ladies. They were probably like in their, early 40s, late 30s, something like that. And I'm walking by and I hear one of them go, and then he just stuck his thumb in my ass without even asking.
Whoops.
And I just it's like, excuse me? Like, what did you just say?
Right.
And she kind of like saw me stop and she looked at me and I kind of like giggled a little bit. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I think that was him asking.
I mean, it's a balance because it's like, ideally you don't react because you want to hear like you want to hear it continue. You want to see like, what are they talking about? Because they don't even realize you're there at that point, and that's an interesting concept with the bartender ears, because you've got to still be aware of what's going on, listen actively, because you want every aspect of that story. But then also, if you react, if you break that wall, then all of a sudden it might change whatever it is they're talking about.
Yeah. I always love too when you'll hear people talking about shit and they'll be like, oh, like he can't hear you. He does, and I'm like, first off,
The
Yes,
bar
I
is
am.
designed for me to hear everything.
I hear
That's why it
everything.
bounces off.
I might not say it all, but I hear
And I
everything.
hear it
Just so
all.
you know,
Yes,
like,
100%.
Oh, and like you heard that reaction, yeah, and you're like, yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
I'm here all the time. I know the acoustics of this room better than you do.
Man. And then one of the other things I wanted to talk real quick before we get done with this segment. It's one of my favorite stories that I have with you, Scotty, and I still tell people to this day. There's a little event that the town we work in does in the middle of February, and basically all of the little local shops get a liquor license for the day, and they can sell wine. Or I don't even think they sell it. I think they just give it out to get people to come into their stores to buy stuff. And then all the restaurants and bars participate as well. You get a little like 2-ounce pour of wine at each spot you go to or whatever. And it's just to boost sales like in the middle of February, which it really does. It's a great event to boost sales. I'm sure all the shops love it. I know it's kind of a pain in the ass, but we love it because it packs us up on a Saturday in the second week of February, which is normally the deadest time of the year for us.
Yeah.
It gets everyone a chance to get out and be social and stuff like that. But the first one that I've ever worked, I was at my current location and I'm working that event. And I had to kick out a couple people. Like, there's a couple drunk ladies that I had to kick out. But the one that like really pissed me off was this kid like pulled out a flask. He was a younger like guy, like younger 20s. He pulled out a flask and just like started drinking from it in the middle of the bar. And I'm like, hey man, like,
Right.
like these are the rules. Like you can't be like you're not even allowed to have that in here, honestly. And you definitely can't fucking drink it in here. And he was with like 10 girls and like, they're like, just all right, we got him, whatever. And I'm like, okay, let it slide. Happens again. Got to kick him out, which means I got to kick these 10 girls out. So I got 10 girls yelling at me about it and all this stuff. And I get done with this event and I walk across the street to go see Scotty. And I'm drinking a beer, doing a shot and having some food. And I'm bitching to him. I'm just like, oh man, like this is rough, man. That was a tough day, like a tough shift. I had to kick this out. I had to kick this person out. And then this happened and this happened. And he just looks at me and goes, someone shit their pants here today. And I literally just go like, okay, you win. Your day was worse.
What?
God.
Yeah.
Well, I think that makes a perfect record of talking about shitting your pants in every single
Which is
episode.
exactly why we've got to get this story in here.
That is the goal. Like,
So literally every episode we've talked about either shitting or pissing your pants.
Pissing was one episode,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we keep them going.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
drunk people do that.
I'd say the joy of a wine walk is that people misunderstand that if they're having 1-ounce samples someplace and they go to 40 places,
Yeah.
that's a bottle and a half of wine. Like they're just thinking, oh no, it's samples. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't count for anything.
I've been to wine tastings and it matters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They all add up. They all add up. And it's one thing if you go to a wine tasting and you just have a couple of 3 1-ounce pours is one thing. But if you've got a couple of hours to spend and you can go back again. It's one of the most fascinating things that they just seem to have like no concept that it's kind of like, oh, I only had one glass of wine. Well, that glass was a bottle?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's different. And so
had one big ass glass of wine.
Yes, exactly. If you didn't stop pouring said glass until the bottle was complete, that's still a bottle of wine. It can still be in one glass. But then on the bartending side of it, when we have them come in before, during, or after, a lot of times they're just like, oh, no, we were just having samples. Like, it's just fine. Like, the samples don't count, and so that's always interesting.
Yeah. And that's always a tough day, too, because cutting off, like, a lady that's in between, say, 30 and 60, like a woman who's in between 30 and 60, is a tough cutoff because it just is. Like, personality-wise, they're normally not going to get sloppy, but when they do, and you have to be the one to tell them, then it's like this deal, like either I'm not or I'm sorry. Yeah. And it's just always one of those things. But like, how do you handle cutting someone off when you have to tell them, like, hey, man, like this is your night's done?
I mean, I think it's such a delicate balance. And
every situation's different, right?
Yeah.
What's your
for
do you have
sure.
a protocol? It's like, what's your...
I mean, my go-to is to make it as personal as possible. Because generally speaking, when it does come to cutting someone off, they're already drunk enough that they're kind of compromised emotionally. So it's like I try to make it as specific and as unique and direct to them that they're going to be like, oh, wow. Like
you did this,
done.
this happened.
Yeah, I won't say like, oh no, you're not allowed to do this, or like people can't do this. Like I will specifically address them one-on-one, away from their friends, and say like, hey, is this your normal ebb and flow? Is this what you would do?
So you do it away from their friends? Huh?
Oh, 100%.
See, I always do it with their friends because I want their friends to be like responsible. I'll be like, hey guys. Your friend's gotta
you're
go.
hoping that they'll take care of, like that they'll support you.
Yeah.
But imagine if all 7 of them were like, no.
Oh, that's true.
F you. Like, you're a piece of shit. Why are you being such a jerk right now?
I don't know if I've ever seen that, though, because, like
I will.
Their friends know. Their friends know.
Their friends do know.
You're hoping one of them is like a reasonable person.
Yeah.
But I have actually, like, where you get the whole, like, no, fuck that. Like, fuck,
Yeah.
I think the first thing to do is tell the people you're working with, like, hey, we're cutting off number 7 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I mean, because otherwise he's just going to, like, wait until you're not looking and be like, and try and get a drink, or he's going to scream at the other server.
Yeah.
And by all means, you got to let, like, the staff know before anybody
else.
knows.
Yeah. You've got to communicate all of that. I do a preliminary cutoff before I even think about cutting someone off.
Yeah.
And that's just pouring a glass of water and setting, like, see how someone reacts to a glass of water in front of them. And you will know a lot about what you're about to do with them next. Because some people, you're always going to have the one person that's like, oh, thank you. And immediately take a sip. You're going to have someone that's going to be like, what's that? And then like, oh, hey, interesting.
You definitely are. You definitely are done.
Water.
Interesting. Yeah. We're
Imagine
talking about
just
water.
taking the hint.
Yeah. And some will take the hint, and you don't even have to do anything else.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, and they'll give you an appreciative nod. So like it's all a delicate like I'm not going to cut someone off unless I know I need to stop service. Like I don't play around with that. It's like other inappropriate jokes. You only say it if you mean it, and you're only going to say it if that's what's up.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
You ever been cut off?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have.
I have. I was laying on top of a bar top though, so like I feel like it was justified. Like they basically they touched me to wake me and then clapped in front of my face and were like, "You need to go." And I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
I always like to joke like I've never been kicked out of a place really, other than that time I was crowd surfing. But that was a concert. I don't count that as a bar.
Other than being kicked out, I haven't been kicked out. That's really I love the way
I've never been like kicked out or like cut off. I've just been told, you gotta go. Like, how are you getting home? You know, like that one. I'm like, you're right. Let's do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've only been cut off once, and I feel like it was kind of a personal thing.
I apologize for that, but you were pissing me off. That
because it happens. It happens.
No, this was semi-related to me being drunk, but I think mostly just someone who didn't like me to begin with. But
there was
who doesn't like you?
I don't know.
Everybody loves you.
The other thing is I'm known for having a really good game face. I'm like, oh shit, I fucking blacked out last night. Who did I insult? And I'm like, hey, how was I last night? And they're like, oh, great, you tell great jokes, and then you ate a bunch of shit and passed out, you know? And it's like, it's never that bad. So I've learned to, like, trust myself. You know, I wake up, and it's like, oh, shit, what happened? And it used to be, like, extreme anxiety. Like, fuck, I don't remember anything. What did I do? Who did I try and make out with? You know, like, and now it's just like, oh, well, you know, I was blacked out. I opened my wallet, the card's there. I'm like, good night. You know,
fair enough.
See, I can't. Yeah, I try not to get to that point anymore. It's very rare when that actually happened to me anymore.
You mean like only 4 or 5 times a month, right?
Yeah, very rare.
Very rarely.
What didn't you understand about what I just said? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of segment 2, and that means it's time for shot number 3-ish.
Cheers. What a great audience.
Woo. South Park.
Yeah.
All right. It is time for segment 3 of this episode of the Four Shots podcast. As you can see, we are already 3-ish shots deep. We are here with Scott Armstrong from O'Toole's of Libertyville. Thank you very much again for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Real quick, I know we're doing Tully today. Have you guys ever seen I just thought of this. You ever seen the Tully commercial where it seems like they're going to a funeral? It's like these Irish guys like walking on the countryside, like toasting to the memory of like their fallen friend, and they're like, "Oh my God, you know, he was so young. It just happened yesterday." And blah blah. And then at the end, it's actually a wedding. Like the guy's getting married.
Oh.
So the first time I saw that, my best friend, the guy that owns the beer bar out in Colorado, we will eventually have on here. He was getting married, and I saw that like 2 weeks before his wedding, and I literally saw that commercial and started crying. I was like, oh my God, like a fucking whiskey commercial just broke me real quick.
That's funny.
It does happen.
Yeah.
But all right, this is the time of the podcast that we like to call the 1,
2,
3,
4 questions. All right, Scotty. So question number 1, these are questions we ask everybody that comes on here, all of our guests. What do you do on your day off?
Oh, man. A huge part of me on my day off is decompression. We constantly interact with individuals, and we're giving of ourselves. So a lot of what I do on my day off is to kind of return the favor to myself.
Like self-care, relaxation.
Yeah. Like I may not speak to someone for a couple hours. But you know,
stare into the void.
No, it's not. I mean, it's like I said, it's about decompression, you know, and a lot of times behind the bar, even though we don't want to be, we're kind of seen as like a point of interest, you know, and so just the idea of being able to like relax into the fray and just be like, no, I'm just doing my own thing like that's incredible.
Yeah.
So
I know me and you share one similar hobby interest or whatever, and that is a little sand volleyball at the local bars around here.
Oh, I love sand volleyball. Yes, for sure. I definitely like the idea of getting out, and like I said, I joke and say that we're a drinking team that has.
Oh, that I don't even joke about that. Yeah,
but definitely getting out
drinking team that has a volleyball problem. I like that.
Right. But we get out there and we have a good time, and so yeah, I make associations, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a great time. I highly suggest for anybody out there that's looking for something to do, like get into some kind of like organized activity, whether it's volleyball, you know, they have like kickball, soccer, softball, basketball, all that shit. Like,
I think bowling's a little more my speed.
See,
personally.
and that's what I want to get into.
I might get in shape for dodgeball, but if they brought that back, you know, adult dodgeball league,
the regular guys.
Right?
What's that line in Kingpin when he walks into like the Nationals like tournament and he's like, I've never been in such a room with so many like high level athletes and they're all like smoking, drinking, and eating hot dogs.
So good.
But at the same time, anything that's like, if it has multiple tiers where you decide if you really want to focus on it, but like at the same time, like I said, it's decompression, it's self-care, it's like giving back to myself. Like I want to have a good time, but I'm not necessarily like focused on the win. Like I want to just kind of mostly relax and regroup.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I'm the same way when we play. If we win or lose, I honestly don't even care. I'm literally just there to have the good time.
Yeah.
If I'm moving around and competing and some other stuff, that's great. But literally, I'm there just to talk to some people.
Yeah, and to have a social to have a social outlet that you're not designed to like be the catalyst for.
You're on the other side of that bar.
Yeah, I'm good with.
It's a positive distraction too, right?
Absolutely.
It's like okay, so I have to go back to work tomorrow, sure, but focus on
You-
something right now.
Yeah.
And that helps, like you said, decompress.
Yeah, you can only be the monkey on the stage dancing for so long. Like eventually, you have to be in the audience.
For sure.
All right, question number 2. This will be a little different for you because I know you actually live pretty close to downtown Libertyville. Sorry for giving that out. We can bleep that out if you need to.
I was like, indeed, I do.
But
You want to list his address too?
Right, exactly. Go ahead and
What's your
put it.
social security
Yeah,
number?
go ahead and put a pin
Lisa
in
on,
Yeah,
on
exactly.
33rd Street,
Yeah.
right next to.
Yeah.
But like on your way home after a long Friday or Saturday night shift, are you? Because I know you actually walk them. Like, do you have the ear pods in? Like, are you listening to something, or are you going like silence and like just recollecting your thoughts for the night?
I want silence after. My ideal scenario for at least 15 to 20 minutes after a shift is dead silence, and it has to do with decompression and bringing myself back to it. Than anything else.
See, and that's we've actually had a lot of the opposite. Like everyone so far has been like, we're blasting music, and I am with you. Where I am like, if I am listening to something, I literally will go like onto YouTube and find like a history channel. How the world was made, something like that.
Man.
Yeah, the greatest,
every couple minutes.
Yeah,
and it there's a little bit of like a
weather and traffic on the 8s.
Yeah,
great.
And it's just this is so fucking boring. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's nobody's yelling at me. It's just
Everyone else we've had on this podcast has said like, I'm blasting heavy metal, punk music, this and that. Like
right
just
after
like
their shift,
right? Like on the way home, like just I gotta get it all out. I'm like I am the complete. I don't want to settle down. I would like to go to sleep at some time tonight. You know,
right? So I mean, I won't lie to you. After a shift, I'm definitely keyed up. Like I have a lot of energy. Like I cannot just lay down right after a shift.
It's impossible.
But there's something about silence after a series of people shouting at you everything that they want and anytime they want it.
Then add on to like you
like
just been listening to whatever kind of music at fucking full blast for fucking 8 hours. You know, like your head, like you literally will go into that car and it's silent, but you still have that rattling in your brain,
right?
Of that music or whatever, just like still going. Like
sometimes I just sit there without turning the car on for 15 minutes.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I would hope in silence, but at the same time, maybe if heavy metal is like your go-to, like that's what you rage out in, and that's what builds you up and pumps you up, maybe. But
if
like
it's therapeutic in that way to somebody, I kind of understand the dichotomy here.
But I would definitely, I would want to have a conversation with someone that was like, oh no, I want loud music right after I've just finished like a, $4,000 shift. Like
never understood it. Like people,
no.
Everybody else has said that so far. Like they're like blasting either punk or like metal, and I'm like really? And they're like, yeah, I just gotta get it all out. And I'm like,
get what?
Man,
I'm just waiting for someone to be like, oh yeah, I cranked some polka on my way home.
Maybe
and,
if it was Weird Al, I mean, like he can do some things.
That is the fourth.
But
we already talked about the Weird Al movie.
Without even trying, we're just hitting certain topics every episode.
He knows what he does. And if he wants to join the podcast, I think he knows.
That is the second time we have asked
Weird Al. If you're out there, we'd love to have you on.
Good God.
Hopefully, we're weird enough. We're weird worthy.
We can get Weird Al's dad, man. His polka band is great. I think that's the second shout out he's got on this podcast. So basically, Weird Al, like we're big fans, obviously. It's like
Always. Yeah.
It's like Weird Al, Bourdain, and that's about it.
We're painting ourselves into a corner here.
I know, but at the same time, if that's the corner and that if that's the hill I die on,
I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable there
because Weird Al, I'm in. But anyway,
all right, let's go to question number 3. Give me one thing you love and that you hate. It doesn't have to be the same thing, obviously. So give me one thing you love about this industry, one thing you hate about this industry.
I love the idea of networking in the industry, and that's the idea that everyone comes out to a bar, comes out to a restaurant. They come out for a reason, and as a bartender, we are able to kind of like make a web of who's looking for what and how they're going to get together, and you can create some unbelievable connections that will actually change the world.
So almost like you're like a social director of like the scene that you're controlling right there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you're facilitating things.
Yeah.
That's like an old school bar. They say you used to move to a new town and you could walk into the bar, you can get a job, find out where to get your hair cut, find out where to get a suit,
exactly.
to go for the interview for the job and
Right.
all this stuff, cash your check, whatever,
Right.
and it's not quite the same as it used to be, but it's still that same idea.
I mean, I think it's still valid because the thing is, like, any place I've worked, I've always looked at the other bars that are in the area. They're not competition. They're just different than what I am.
Right.
Exactly.
So I will let you know what we have, but I'm also going to let you know what they have.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason that we can't all like it's a friendly competition for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's no reason I can't say like, hey, when it comes to desserts, you need to go here because that's where you need to go.
And not only that, but like competition in a specific area is fantastic. Like not competition, but like having multiple places to go.
Opportunity.
That just makes your place better.
And it makes your whole area a destination. It
Exactly.
works great in
And that's
craft
just it.
beer because in
Exactly.
craft beer you'd think like, oh, a brewery opening down the street. Oh, fuck, no. Like, because your business is not really regular sitting at the bar as much as like people trying your stuff. And like
right.
Lake County in the Libertyville Mundelein area, there's a few breweries. There's another brewery opening in Mundelein this summer.
One of our
fall,
buddies.
Tonality.
I don't know if we can say that technically yet.
Yeah,
but,
sure we can.
You can bleep it.
I
might
can
have
do
to bleep
whatever
that.
I want.
Say it 5 times.
No reason you can't get rid of it.
But that is our buddy. We love that dude, and we hope it goes well.
I just think that it's kind of making this particular part of Lake County like a little bit of like a craft beer destination between like the Lampier, Finn's, Tighthead, now the new place. It's like it's kind of if you like, let's say you lived in the city or on the south side or something, are you gonna come to the suburbs just to go to Finn's or just to go to Tighthead? Maybe not, but
Not likely.
you'll come all the way out here because you can hit 4 places in one day.
Yeah.
I think that, especially in craft beer very specifically, is like really kind of good for everyone.
And not to mention the fact that it keeps people who are around here from driving elsewhere to go.
Totally.
A brewery right down the road.
But there's also more like not even just like I know how you're saying like specifically craft beer, but it's really big for restaurants and bars because like there's something to say if you're a standalone bar in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and you're the only bar around. Like yes, everyone's going to go to you, but if you are on a strip, you are kind of almost guaranteed.
Totally.
Your nut will be paid because you are on the strip. Like you can suck at what you do, but you will be picked up by everybody else on the strip that you will at least get your nut paid.
Well, I also think that's a double-edged sword, though. You're right that you'll get action from being on the strip, but places like that don't give a shit about what they're putting out don't last as long, right? Because there's competition,
and they will always turn in and out. It's like you have,
but it forces everybody to be better at this.
That's what I'm saying. You're guaranteed to get this one thing. Like you're guaranteed basically your bills will be paid if you're on like a strip type of town.
Yeah.
Like Grace Lake is doing a great job of building that up. Libertyville has done that.
Antioch's got a nice little downtown.
Highwood.
Mundeline's working.
Working on it. Like they see the formula. They're trying to do it.
It'll be
Lake
pretty
Villa,
good
actually.
soon.
Lake Villa's downtown there with Harbor Brewing, and right across the street is not right across the street, but the O'Toole's location there. And then there's a little pizza place there.
But it's just something like I don't know, like if you can get people bouncing around, spending money everywhere, and then it's on you as like the individual, like employee or employer, whether you're the establishment or whatnot, to set yourself apart. Like, hey, this place is cool, but like what you were saying, Scotty, like this is what we do great. This is what we do very well. This is what we do better than everyone else. And whether that is an actual product or just even the service as a bartender, to give that person a reason to come back to you rather than a place across. You know what I mean?
When you're the guy that knows, which is what a lot of people want from a bartender.
Correct.
This guy knows the area rather than, all of our stuff's great. Like you're saying, this is great for this. This is great for that. Yeah. This is what we're great at. And, enjoy your night.
Yeah. And my thing is, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, I want to excel in every area that we can excel in. But I also don't believe in just like shitting on people just for the sake of shitting.
Oh, no.
The thing is, I give people options. And I say, like, if you are looking for this, that's here. If you're looking for this, that's here. Because ultimately, like, we really are kind of a community, and it's like have an appetizer at one place. I
always try to. Sorry to cut you off, like on that, but like I always try to become friends with people in other restaurants and bars because I want them to say that, like, hey, we just ate here, and now we're looking for something else. Where would you go? Like, 100%. I want to be that first name off their lips.
100%.
I send people down, all the time when I'm at Light the Lamp. Last night, perfect example. Our kitchen had to close a little earlier last night. Short-staffed, so 7:30 instead of 8, whatever. We had a table walk in, and I tell them, here's the rundown. Here's where I'd go if I'm you, and depending on what you want. I gave them the list of the 3 places that I knew would be open. And, and just, you want them to come back, right?
Yeah. And so let that be open, honest, and positive, and then you're like, it's huge.
Rather than just, no, we're closed.
Right,
which is
which you could have done.
Yeah,
you certainly could have been like, sorry.
Why shut them down? They're still trying to have a good night, and you can still kind of, in a way, be a part of it and encourage them to come back for another.
And they'll remember that.
Yeah, without a doubt,
dude. In Libertyville, I've had a million different nights. It's like O'Toole's, then Finn's, or like Botayo's.
You think you got all the combos down?
Yeah.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them all.
Exponentially, I've been out.
Like Firkin, then Murphy's, like anything.
Where's Murphy's?
Oh, not
Murphy's.
Morgan's.
I was gonna say
he's thinking about Urbana
Murphy's
champagne
is like
again.
He's
thinking about Urbana champagne.
Well, Murphy's is also the health shop that does fucking grass wheat shots.
So there is a Murphy's.
Actually, that is a great place to walk into if you're
which
like
is awesome.
Yeah.
If you want,
place is great.
I actually adore them.
I don't think they're open that late though.
I think I'd walk in and they'd be like, "You don't want anything here. There's nothing here for you, buddy."
Like, Jay walks in like, "Sir, this is a health food store."
Yeah, you have to go to 4 other stores on the way up to graduate to this. You have to give a shit about yourself first, and then we'll talk. We'll talk wheatgrass shots.
Wheatgrass is it's awesome, and it's there, by the way. So go to Murphy's for
that.
I love the taste of it.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. So that was the one thing you loved. Give me the one thing you hate about this industry. Because there's one thing that always.
And even if hate isn't the right word, what's your least favorite,
As far as what I hate about the industry, it can be incredibly superficial. And so, like, it can just be...
That's a unique answer. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I will. It can just...
Hold on.
Like, the goal on that is... Let me think about that for a moment.
All right, we'll give you a second. He had to go. Patrick had to go pee anyways.
Okay.
Guys smoking here?
A tiny tank.
I forgot about that. That was his nickname. No, we actually.
He did not say that.
Yeah, we told him that was his new nickname one time. Tiny Tank Whistler.
Jesus.
He probably can, man.
Brendan gonna say anything?
He's not gonna be here for 4 hours.
Let's.
We're have to cut.
Let's break. Let's break.
Yeah, we're obviously gonna have to cut anyway, so we can just take a break.
Thanks a lot, Tiny Tank.
You brought this on yourself, Tiny Tank.
I didn't have to go at all.
But you did anyway. Like when a parent's like, "No, go ahead and go."
Go. You're like,
go.
No, I don't have to go.
You're like, I don't have to go.
Come on, Patrick.
Try. Go ahead and try. And you're like, yep.
Tiny
turns out-
tank.
Turns out Tiny Tank was hilarious.
Dude, I'm telling you. When you get really fat, it's just like your bladder gets edged out.
All right, we're leaving all this in.
I'm really fat,
Yes, I am.
and I don't know. It's
You don't consider yourself a
Once
tiny
I'm
tank?
wasted, I'm
No.
going every drink.
I don't know what's
Easily.
the expansion thing going on in here is. My bladder might be humongous. I don't know.
Sure, it's going somewhere. I don't know. We don't know.
Maybe it's
Tiny tank.
expanding into my beer belly. I don't know.
All right, we're leaving all that in, just so you know.
That's fine.
Yeah, I probably didn't go until I was at Finn's for like 4 or 5 hours yesterday.
See what I'm saying?
But then once I hit it,
yeah,
then it's
well, it's
every
the breaking
drink.
the seal thing that people talk about. which-
So once again, Depends or North Shore Diapers.
yeah,
If you guys want to
we want
sponsor
a
our
sponsorship
show,
from an adult diaper company.
diapers.
Sorry, Huggies. We
Not looking for
we want a
Huggies.
very specific diaper sponsorship.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure we talked about peeing our pants or shitting our pants every episode.
Yeah.
Definitely shitting our pants. Shitting our pants
yeah.
is like that was the theme of the first one, and
then
it's
I
just
told you
made
that's
it
the theme of
on
how I used to sleep in the
adulthood.
bathtub when I
Yeah.
got too drunk. I would just sleep in the bathtub, bring a pillow in there, and
because he would pee
Makes sense to
himself.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, when you drink 30 beers, you know
That'll
it's-
do it.
Yeah.
That's
Sleep
gonna lend
somewhere.
itself to
Sleep somewhere that has a drain
I don't know
on
if
the
I
floor.
already told this, but I have a friend and his wife has a guest bed with rubber sheets on it. And when he's really wasted, he has to go sleep in the guest bed
Oh,
with the
that's a
fucking
good
rubber
idea.
sheets.
Well,
So
the
their
bathtub's
marriage
not
bed
so
doesn't
bad.
beat
It
him.
sounds uncomfortable, but I mean, really, you just wake up, you stand up, and you shower right away. You know, it's you know.
Okay. All right. So we took a slight little break there. We'll edit some of that out, some of that staying in there. And we are still here with Scott Armstrong at Charlie's Tavern in the heart of downtown Grays Lake, Illinois. It was a beautiful afternoon, and now it's getting a little shitty out there. All right. I think we were at Scott part 2 of question 3. What is the one thing you don't like about this industry?
Yeah, so I had mentioned it being kind of superficial, and what I mean by that is like sometimes it just takes a moment for everything to like flip, you know, and it could be a guest review, it could be a Yelp, it could be something, you know, like where it's like all of a sudden you have to be like, oh no, here we go, you know, like now I have to take everything that I've done the entire time I've been here and now base it on this. And that part can be pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like you are completely supported. No.
Do you find that, like, where you're working or worked, like, that you pay a lot of attention to, like, Yelp reviews and stuff like that?
I mean, I would like to think that no one ever pays attention to a Yelp review.
Yeah.
However,
Do you end up looking them up?
yeah, I do. I do.
Same. And I know, like, as I'm doing it, I'm like, this is going to be bad. Even the good ones, you skip right past those. And it's the same principle that people use Yelp on.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly
good
think
review,
Yelp,
of course, we're great. Then you go to a restaurant 100 times and you have a great experience and you don't leave any sort of a review about that. The one time these people have a bad experience that's when
exactly,
Right.
and that's why Yelp
Right.
is terrible, because
Right.
if something happened or you felt slighted or something, you will go out of your way to ruin someone else's day. But if, like, you had the most amazing time in the world, like if I give you the greatest service, greatest product in the world, the best I can hope for is that you're going to tell 2 of your friends to come back and see me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Right.
dude, on Yelp, it's like there's 90% of experiences are good enough. I went there for this, I got it. You know what I'm saying? And then I feel like 5-star reviews a lot of the time are like bullshit. It's like
Yeah.
the owner's mom.
Well, who
Yeah.
one of you guys just shared with us on Facebook or whatever. It was like the Instagram like influencer or whatever, and she's like, I gave you 0 stars because you didn't cut my tab, even though your food was great, everything was great, but I told you I'm an influencer,
Right.
and you didn't cut my food. Like,
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like-
and that takes your average
Don't you
down.
make money from being an influencer?
Right.
So pay with some of that.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, obviously you got to pay attention to some reviews. Like, if your food's bad, like that's good criticism. You want to hear about that and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And I always appreciate the people who send like an email or a private message to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I've been here a couple times. This is just falling off. And that's, to me, that's like, I don't want those people to shut up.
Right.
Like,
Instead
I
of just
wanna
blasting
hear-
you on
Yeah,
Facebook or
right.
something like that.
It doesn't have to be public. If you actually give a shit about the place and you want to come back,
Yeah.
let's have some positive.
And by all means,
And
when there
just-
are like things that we need to improve on, like we want to
Like,
hear that.
please tell
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Because
agree.
it becomes furniture at a certain point, right? You just walk right past it.
Yeah.
The restaurant you work at, it's this is how this looks, and you don't notice the quality deteriorating sometimes if it is because you see it every day and you watch the gradual,
Yeah.
But,
I used to work.
Somebody who hasn't been there in a month and comes back and is like, this is all fucked up now. And I want to hear.
I used to work for a guy who would make everyone clean different parts of the restaurant every night because he wanted to see what someone would say this person missed. You know what I mean? Like everyone would focus in on something different on each part of the section, and that's what you're basically saying is like I might be focusing on drink times or food time or something like that I might have missed that the floor is not swept. You know what I mean? Like it's like something like that.
There's a lot of easy stuff to miss.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to question 4, and this is my favorite question. I like to ask everyone this. What advice do you have for our average listener, an average customer at a bar or restaurant, even someone from a bar or restaurant who's going to another place? What advice do you have to the customer to be a better customer?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that one kind of puts you on the spot. I know.
That one's a challenge.
And it can be small advice. It can be,
Yeah.
My advice is to have your complete order, everything you would ever want in that particular transaction, ready to go.
Right.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
get my attention and then decide what you're going to order.
Correct. Or get my attention and say, what's good here? Yeah. Or get my attention and say, what do you want?
That's the one that gets me. Is like, I would like a Miller Lite, and what do you guys want?
Yeah.
It's like, no. Like, figure that all out.
Right. So you come to me with the full order and your complete transaction, everything you want. Not like waters are part of that. So let me say like I want 3 bottles of Miller Lite and 2 waters. That's great. You will get all of that. As opposed to, can I have 3 bottles of Miller Lite? And then I do that, and I say what it is.
And a water.
Oh, and can I get a water?
Oh, can I get a water?
And a water.
And one more water.
Yeah.
And actually, we're going to do shots. So the full, complete transaction that you want from me when we are busy and cooking and doing our thing, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, and people like might want to think like, oh, that's just a little thing. You're just grabbing a glass of water. It's like, right, but when I grab that glass of water, I could have had 10 shots for the guy next to you in my hand.
Correct.
Yeah. And then when you ask for that other glass of water, that's another 5 beers I could have had for the guy next to him in my hand.
Yes.
So instead of like making, not making, but like ringing in $200, I'm sitting here giving you waters that you should have, like, you only ordered 3 drinks, so I could have carried the 2 waters as well if you would have just had that all set up. It's those little things that are huge differences in a night.
Right. And it's probably never going to go away because people are out being whimsical and drinking and stuff like that.
Well,
but just
anything
you can do to
annoying people are never going away.
Right. But I'm saying, like, you're going to get better service if you do things this way. It's kind of what I'm saying too. It's not.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, as a bartender, you always know
when you see somebody, when you're in the weeds and you're serving somebody who gets it.
Yeah. I don't know if I like.
It's fantastic. And you know what that person's not going to do? They're not going to be like, hey, just so you know, I'm a bartender too.
Oh my God.
Don't mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a sidebar, I don't want to get people riled up about that. But my point is, like I said,
to go, no, you're not, because you wouldn't have said that.
You would never have said that. You would never.
My first year in the industry, I would
think you might be a bartender, but you're not a bartender.
My first year or 2 in the industry, I would mention that, and then
and then you learn real quick.
And it happened to me, and then I was like, oh, I wish I could tell myself 3, and 4, 8, and
hello.
And the flip of that is like one of the best feelings is when you're throwing around big dick energy and you're tipping big, and you're tipping right. You don't have to throw 100 on a 50 when you're a bartender, but if you're tipping 25, 30%, letting people know, hey, I know what's up, and then someone comes back to you and says, hey, like, do you work in the industry? Fucking love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Without having to say a word, you knew it just because I'm fucking cool.
Right. I don't mind that.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just it is very interesting to see like how that can play out.
Yeah. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the segment we like to call the 1,
2,
3,
4 questions.
That's fine.
Almost got it.
That's
But
fine.
you can always join in. Don't worry
I
about
didn't
it.
realize it was questions. I thought it was shots. I'm sorry.
Well,
That's
and
my
we
bad.
didn't tell
We haven't
you.
taken
No,
it.
right, exactly.
Tech-
I just went with my intuition,
And even
I
though
was
we've
wrong.
taken 4 shots, we have not taken 4 shots yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
4-ish.
Alright.
I thought we were at 3-ish.
We're like 3-ish.
Yeah.
We're at ish.
But that brings us to the main point of this podcast, which is Mr. Scott Armstrong. What is the craziest thing you have experienced, seen, gone through, have happened to you in this service industry?
All right. So, well, the craziest thing I have experienced in this industry was a push to experience regulars, to like make connections to people, to understand who and what they are. Like you want to know everything about them. So I had this couple come in 3 times a week for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, first you learn their names.
What
then-
kind of place were you at the time?
it was a corporate place.
Court place. Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, it was a corporate place that had a solid bar focus. Like their goal was to like, you want people to stay there for the night. You're not just looking to like turn and burn. You're like,
Well, and the money's in the booze, honestly.
yeah,
you
no,
know?
absolutely.
If you break even on food, that's awesome, and then you
Correct.
make money on your booze.
But you make much more money on the booze. And so it definitely was bar focused. And so, you had to know, I mean, it's kind of like a subset of our bar training was like, not just know who they are, like you have to know what they drink, and you have to know 3 facts about them.
Like this was demanded.
Well,
like,
I mean, I don't know what demanded, but it was part of the culture of the bar training. Like it was like we're creating an experience. Like we want these people to come back. So like, you're not only going to tell me
that
what
is
they
just
drink.
so corporate when they're like, you have to know 3 things.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, when you break
like
it
a
down,
specific
It's
number.
good practice.
Well,
Yeah.
but like as a general rule, it was like, go ahead and tell me. Like, it's not just what they drink, because like I know. I mean, probably 1,000 people by what they drink.
And not their names.
Correct. And
Yeah.
I do
no
not know their
idea
name.
what they're.
And then subset of that is like I probably know 500 people, what they drank and their name. And then subset of that is like I would know 500 people what they drank and 2 things about them. But the idea of like knowing 3 things about a person, like no, it was an interesting like concept as far as like
Yeah.
really diving deep at a local corner bar. But we had to know 3 things about them above and beyond what they drank and their name. So anyway, we had a couple come in for a long while that they were like, hey, these are people you need to key into. You need to know them. So know what they drink, know their names, know things about them. And they're the kind of
Like they were coming in, spending money and everything.
oh
like
yeah,
that.
absolutely, and having a great
Tipping
time.
good.
Correct, tipping great, awesome. Like coming in, you like they're the kind of people that walk in the bar and you're like, yep, I'm already making the drinks. I like.
And people love
like
that shit,
I'm
dude.
I'm gonna set that down.
When it's there before you are,
and
yeah.
the people love that. So I had been doing this now probably like 3 or 4 months with them. Like the instant I see one of them, I'm automatically like creating both of their drinks, and I'm like, there you go, because I even know the seats you're gonna sit at.
Right.
If those seats are open, I know that that's where you're gonna be. Like that level of comfortability with them.
Right.
And so then you have to like fast forward a little bit, and we're coming up onto like a relatively busy Friday night, and I see one, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna make these drinks. I'm good to go. And he walks up, and I'm like, here you go. I set the 2 drinks down, and he's like, what's that? And I was like, oh no, it's for you and this person. And then he's like, kind of gives me a weird look, and he's like, I mean, so this is my wife behind me. Like, we're celebrating our anniversary today. And suddenly I'm like, oh.
Was he coming in with someone else?
He was coming in with someone else that I have seen. Like, so his wife is someone that I have not seen for the last 3 months. That he has been coming in with. Like I was like, oh. So I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, and so then at this point I'm relatively new to bartending, so I'm like, oh, okay, I must be wrong. Like as I like look at him and I'm like, what? And so then I like start,
I'm mistaken for somewhere else.
I
I
start walking away, and he like beelines to me, and it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
what are you doing?
That would be my natural reaction. But I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm here with my wife. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I've like actually seen you here regularly all the time with someone else that I do not know, like now who this is or they're like what they would say you are.
Oh my God.
But here I am, and he's like, why would you embarrass me like that? And so like, it was one of my first times in the industry where I was like, no, I'm sorry, like, don't bring your wife where you take your mistress. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
what the fuck, dude?
Like, what
that's
are you
you.
talking
Like, you're
about?
an idiot.
Like that's on you, bro. Like that is 100% on you.
Dude, and how do
It's
you
like
even?
literally a fucking saying, "Don't shit where you eat."
Correct.
Like,
Correct. Like
explicitly means
yes.
don't do that exact thing.
Yes. Like pick your poison. Decide. like like you're in control of all of it. Like what part of you thought that was a good idea? Like.
And then you want to get mad at me?
Yes,
like I fucked this up.
Yes, like how is this my problem? You have asserted yourself.
Like you're supposed to
way.
organically know which one's his wife and which one's his mistress. Just
Right.
like, duh, you idiot. Like,
right.
Like
It's almost like he literally stopped you and goes, I'm here with my wife, not my girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The other 99 times I have taken care of you, it has been your girlfriend or whatever the hell you want to call her at the time.
Home wrecker.
Right. Exactly. Well, I had half a mind. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me tell you the 3 things I learned about her because I know 3 things now.
Number 1.
Yeah.
This guy's a piece of shit.
Ding, 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 ding.
And he cheats on his wife.
Well.
Holy
that's a
fuck.
good one.
Oh my God.
The 3 things coming back up. That was fucking great, dude.
Oh
Damn.
man, because it's weird. Like as a bartender, I always tell people like, you have so many jobs. I always tell them like, you're 50% bartender. I'm 50% bookie. I'm 50% therapist. I'm 50%, like relationship, expert, even though I'm not. But like, you just have so many hats.
Yeah,
to so many different people,
sure.
and it's just like you get this one where it's just like, hey man, you're supposed to be my boy covering up my like.
Yeah,
you're
my
just like,
boy.
wait,
That's what
I was doing the 3 parts. I do the 3 parts. Like,
That's what I know, man. That was it.
Oh, there's been like Tinder Tuesdays or Tinder Thursdays. People do that,
dude.
and there are several people who will come in here, and I have to like pretend I don't know what they're gonna drink.
Oh my God.
And it's so awkward. And one of them just broke, I don't know, is it the 5th wall? And was just like, no, it's good. He knows. It's fine.
Dude,
and I was like, all right, so tequila soda, double tequila soda. And like, I was just like, I'm trying to pretend to not know you, but you're cool with it. And there's no way I'm ever going to figure out how to put this puzzle together.
The Tinder Tuesday thing, when I was in Colorado, there was a girl that worked at, I think it was a distillery that was right down the street from where I was working. And she was in every Tuesday night with a different dude. Yeah. And like finally, like I saw her out like late night one night at like a late night bar, and I was like, what's going on? She's like, oh, like Tinder Tuesday. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like thanks for the heads up. I won't ever mess it up for you. And so we were talking about it like afterwards. Like not me and her, but like me and like the people from the bar. Like I let them all know, like, hey, like this is why she's in here with another dude every Tuesday. It's Tinder Tuesday. And someone was like, we should get to pick. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, we're gonna turn this into a game show where it's Tinder Tuesday. And she brings in like one every Tuesday of the month. And at the end of the month, the staff gets to like vote. Your boyfriend is gonna be this guy. And I was like, that's such a fucking great show. Like we would be on MTV and all that shit with Love Island and all.
MTV 20 years ago, but I don't know about it.
Oh my God, but yeah,
like Room Raiders.
Dude, it's so true though. Just like that, like it's like like I need to know stuff about you, and then like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be my boy and cover up my shit that I do. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, explicitly mention that if you want me to cover something up. Yeah. I still probably won't, but
But honestly, it's also the other way. Like earlier in the episode, I was talking about like we hear everything.
Yeah.
We don't say shit. Right. We hear everything. But like you were trying to actually do like the good bartender thing to be like, bam, here's your drinks, and she's like, I don't drink this, and you're like.
I mean, you didn't,
about that.
You didn't look at the guy and go, "Who's your new friend?"
No, I did not. Right, I also was like, okay. And he looked at me like, well, you're being an idiot, but which I think was mostly to save face with her, but with his wife, by the way. Like, I don't mean to.
I used to work for the guy that used to own that, or he not used to own, but the guy that owns that college bar I used to work at. One of the funniest things he ever did was like if you were sitting there like trying to like talk to a girl or whatever, he would walk up and be like, oh, like, hey, so and so, she's pretty cute, not as cute as the girl from last night, and then he would just walk away. And you'd just be like, wait, what?
Just get the guy in trouble. Oh fuck, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
I don't want a tip or anything.
It's pretty.
I might as well younger dudes you work with is not that hilarious. Really, but.
It's pretty funny when you sit there and look at it. It's honestly pretty funny. But
you got to play it off right, like, oh, this fucking guy.
I got to ask, did you ever see that guy again? After that,
I have. Actually.
Yeah.
Did he keep coming back to that like establishment, or was that like was he done?
Well, no. So like I said, he like laid into me when he was walking to the bathroom and I was coming back from the kitchen, and he was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, I'm completely lost, man. Like you tell me what I'm supposed to do, because how could I have changed this in any other way? Right. I have since talked to him, and now that wife is an ex-wife. I know, big shock. However, I would say
if those two crazy kids can't make it,
I mean, no. This is not a Cinderella story. And I would like to think that if I walked into a room with him, I would be like able to be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he would respond in kind. Because he's now, I would assume, married to someone else that's also not that girlfriend. So, like oddly enough.
What happened to that girl? Did you ever see that girl again?
I mean,
did he bring her back in again?
Listen, there was a time and a place. So it was a wild ride for a while.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. What are you doing?
I should have said that. Actually, that what you said to him is what I should have said to the other one. I should have said, "What are you doing?" just like that, but I did not. So as it were, I just kind of was like, "What?" and it worked out. So the way it was meant to.
Holy shit! All right. Well, I know we went a little long here, but. That was a pretty good episode. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Scotty, thank you very much for coming on here.
Absolutely.
Like I said, dude, I honestly admire you, dude. I think you're one of the best bartenders in Lake County, if not Illinois.
The best in Lake County.
Thank you.
Without a doubt.
Easy.
Having worked with you, having gone and like visited you and everything like that, dude, everything you do is fucking awesome. You're on point. You know your shit. You can fucking run the bar. Like everything you do is just fucking spot on.
Unless somebody's cheating on their wife, that's where you fuck up.
Well, hey, he just started. He just started with that. He learned.
We don't have that right. Yeah. We aren't talking about that now.
Yeah.
That was then. This is now. We're talking about a decade and a half between.
Feel free to bring your paramour into O'Toole's
or anywhere else I'm bartending. Anywhere else.
But by all means, again, let's plug the 101s. Definitely go see Scotty at the 101s at O'Toole's in Libertyville. Where do they get tickets for that?
You can get them online.
At O'Toole's.com or whatever.
Yeah,
through the O'Toole's website.
Yeah, through the online store.
Fucking can't like recommend that enough. That was a great time. My girl loved that.
I gotta check that out.
She was date night. Date night's awesome.
It's really a unique experience for the area, and I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and you do like I honestly like I was talking to you that night. I'm like your like job like emceeing it actually and like making it flow and go together was fucking outstanding. You did a great job of like just throwing it all together. You throw a great party.
Thank you very much.
You do a great job every weekend up there and everything like that. See him at O'Toole's in Libertyville. I think that is it. Anyone else got anything to talk about? Oh, I got one thing to talk about. Cocaine Bear.
Oh god.
Cocaine Bear. Saw that last night. Great movie. Can't recommend it enough. I saw a couple previews that is making me hopeful for new comedies coming out. My man Bert Kreischer's got his movie coming out Memorial Day. The Machine's coming out. I showed you
just about that story.
Yeah, but he goes off on it. It's fucking great. If you haven't seen the full trailer, watch the trailer. Strays is a movie with like Jamie Foxx, Will Ferrell, a bunch of people coming out, and it's like a bunch of dogs. I literally fell out of my chair laughing at the fucking trailer. I just showed Scotty that dog being like, I'm gonna bite his dick off. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But comedy movies are coming back, which is fucking awesome. And I don't know. If you have a story that you want everybody to hear, if you've worked in the service industry and you've been exposed to the crazy shit that we are exposed to, come on this podcast. Tell us your crazy story. Hit us up at 4shotspodcast@gmail.com. That's number 4, SHOTS podcast@gmail.com. Our first video has hit over, I think we're still only on YouTube. We're not on Spotify or anything yet. Eventually.
Yeah, we gave it to him, and it's
by the time you hear this, we might be.
Yeah, maybe. But hit us up on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. We got the links out there. We'll be on Instagram and so all that shit more. We haven't done any of that. But first video hit over 500 views. Feel like that's a pretty good start for 3 dudes with a fucking sound machine
and a dream
sitting in Charlie's.
Pretty exciting.
So I'm actually pretty proud of that. Hit us up if you got something that you want to tell us that you want to come get drunk with and tell some crazy stories. Hit us up 4shotspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to Charlie's Tavern for always hosting us. Cousin Brendan, thank you. It's probably not going to be out yet, but Bunny Bar Hop coming up. Hit that up. St. Patty's Day coming up. Hit us up either in Grays Lake, Libertyville, wherever. I mean, everybody's going to be busy. We don't really need to plug St. Patty's Day.
It's on Friday this year.
Yeah, if anything, we need to tell you to stay home.
Yeah, spread yourselves out evenly.
This also is going to probably be past that point.
Oh, yeah, way past it, yeah.
Totally.
Anyway, maybe St. Patty's Day the next year.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they're coming. So we got 1,
might be up by
2, 3. It might actually come out that week. No, probably
Patty's?
the week after.
No, we got one episode coming out before St. Patty's.
Yeah.
It's the 6th.
Oh, that's right.
It's
I keep
the 6th
forgetting.
of March.
It's March
so
already.
11 days away.
No.
Is it going to come out in 11 days?
It definitely isn't, no.
So then that's
we'll be famous by then.
Then that's it. Yeah. Hey, I mean, if it doesn't blow up or go viral, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's it.
You know, anyone want to say something stupid and make us go viral? Good. Don't.
Oh,
okay.
That was a very narrow window. Yeah. That was a narrow window.
That was all I was giving you guys. Saw his mind fucking turning. I'm like, no,
he's like, at this point, no.
And ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of the 1,
2,
3,
4 Shots Podcast.
Kanye West was never really that good.
Dude, College Dropout is one of the best albums ever.
You wanted me to say something that was controversial.
I don't think that's controversial. Well, that's
I hate that he's from
yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Why? Not a Kanye West.
He's like the highest profile, like psycho douchebag in the world right now. Like
he's up there.
Yeah, I mean Elon's still out there.
Yeah.
Kyrie.
He's not as high profile as either of those two.
That's true.
He's high profile, but
dude still makes banger fucking music, man. Music's still banging.
We're gonna have to cut this part, but I feel like Christopher Walken has been a psychopath for his entire life and is just allowed to be rich, even though.
He's cool though.
What was Christopher Walken doing on that boat?
Yeah.
What was he doing on that
I'm
boat?
not going to say he had anything to do with it, but that motherfucker knows what happened.
He was on that boat.
He was on like a 20-foot long boat with 5 other people, and one of them died. He knows what happened, at the very least.
Lots of people get divorced and get married.
Yeah.
I think that's a Seinfeld line, honestly.
I think it
was a Curb. I think it was a Curb episode. So that's probably why you don't recognize it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you and good night.
All right, gents.